as I say, we've only got a handful of questions tonight. But the first question is a technical question. So it's how deep should buried cables be to avoid being damaged? So this is one for Bob.
Okay. Obviously, there are regulations that relate to how cables should be installed. In BS 7671 2018, there's regulation 132.7. There's a fundamental principle for designing electrical installations when you're deciding on what might be an appropriate wiring system and the method of its installation, that consideration is given to any relevant external influences that could have an effect on the cable wiring system. And one of these could be, for instance, impact. There are specific requirements given for this in Chapter 52, which deals with the selection and erection of wiring systems in BS 7671, specifically Regulation 522810. However, that regulation doesn't actually provide a depth in millimetres or metres to satisfy the requirement. It simply requires buried cables or conduits or ducts to be located at a sufficient depth to avoid being damaged by any reasonably foreseeable disturbance of the ground. One of the other things you need to consider when you're installing cables, burying them in the ground, is that except where the cable's installed in a conduit or duct, which provides equivalent protection against mechanical damage, a cable that's buried in the ground must also incorporate an earthed armour or metal sheath, or both, and this should be suitable for use as a protective conductor, and the cable should be marked by cable covers or a suitable marker tape. With regard to actual dimensions or a depth, you get that in IET guidance. There's guidance note 1, which deals with selection and erection matters, and that talks about a burial of less than half a metre is usually inadvisable, because obviously if you're laying cables in the ground in a shallow depth, they might be, damaged. For instance, in a garden, if you were putting in a supply to a shed, you could maybe dig up the cable or damage it with a spade. So try and avoid these sorts of areas when you're routing a cable, and bury them a reasonable depth, as I say, 0.5 metre. If you were going under roadways or pathways, it might be slightly deeper again. You might go maybe to 600. And one of the other things you've got to be careful for when you're burying cables would be to think about the excavation. There might be other underground services in the area that you might hit, water pipes, gas pipes, that sort of thing. So there is guidance that the HSE produce, HSG 47, which talks about avoiding danger from underground services. So that you can download that from the HSE's website free of charge and have a look at it. Basically, you might get a cable detector and survey the ground beforehand. On bigger sites, there are services that provide maps of underground services. So be careful when you're burying cables. So the answer is 0.5 metre as a minimum would be good guidance.
Okay, thanks very much, Bob. Excuse me, any questions around that for Bob? No? Okay, thank you very much. And I see Stuart has joined us now, so welcome, Stuart.